party. I can't see myself. It looked like it was going to have me in there. See? You can't turn.
We don't want to.
I don't think we can have it this way.
Oh, that's fine.
But if it's... I wonder if it's doing it, though, because it doesn't say it's not on.
Right.
See, it says I'm live. Sorry. Guys.
Hello there.
We're very excited that you guys are joining us. If you find that you can't actually see us, let us know in the comments, and Love may get a notification on her phone. She may not. She may have actually turned off her notifications. I don't know. But anyways, so I'm Petra. For those of you who haven't officially met me, I'm super excited about today. We have our first guest conversationalist, which is my bonus sister, Karlyne Hutchinson. And she just got married July 21st of last year. So she is very much so in the honeymoon phase, as I like to call it, of being a newlywed. I think the honeymoon stage lasts 10 years. I'm here for it. I'm still in the honeymoon stage, and I'll be married 7 years this September. So 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm claiming it. I am claiming it. So I have asked Love, and actually look, it is crooked on there. We do look funny. So guys, rotate your phones.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Because it's easier for us to do the live this way so that we're both in the screen as opposed to the other way. If I do it the other way, then we look funny. So bear with us.
Yeah, because we have to literally be like this.
Right. And we love each other, but it will not be effective. So anyways, we are reading Happy Wives Club, and as a guest conversationalist, Love, who is also Karlyne, but I call her Love, is also following along in the book with us. And I asked her to join us to talk about being a newlywed and to give us 3 to 5 tips or things that she has learned in this journey, and also what she is doing to maintain or create a happy marriage. We are trying to change the dialogue on what it means to be young, what it means to be married, what it means to be saved and married, and what it means to be strong women in marriage. We are trying to change the current dialogue and make it more positive so that when people see marriage, they want to be a part of that, and it's healthy, and it's uplifting, and it's fulfilling. So, are you ready?
I am.
It's going to be great. So I'm actually going to just turn it over to you, and then if I want to jump in, I'll do like I always do and jump in.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
This is why this works well.
Right.
Okay, so let's start with your first tip or thing that you've learned.
So the thing that I most recently learned about being married and fostering a healthy relationship with my husband is...
Which is who?
Kyler.
Yeah.
Kyler K. Hutchinson. You can see him on Family Feud every now and then.
Yes, he's famous.
He doesn't look like that anymore, though. So.
Well, he's a whole married man.
I know, right?
He's a whole married. It's a whole
marriage
different
will do
glow.
Something to the way he looks. Let me
We're
tell
here
you.
for it. We're here for it. We're here for it. Okay, I'm ready. So the first thing.
The most effective thing that I've learned so far is that things take time. You're not going to be the world's greatest wife. It's like as soon as you get married, he is not going to be the world's greatest husband as soon as y'all get married. But enjoying the journey and understanding that one day you will be the best wife on earth and he will be the best husband on earth. But it's not going to happen immediately. One thing that a friend from back in the day told me is that, like, I guess as young girls, when we're, like, looking to get married, we're looking for someone like our dad. But our dads were not who they are now whenever they got married. So we, like, set ourselves up for failure expecting these 20-something, 30-something men to be seasoned and develop over 20 years whenever we just said I do. So that's definitely, things take time is, like, a major key.
Major.
Yes.
Because I have seen pictures of our parents when they were younger, and my dad, like, I love him, but if y'all ever see old pictures of my dad, I know my mom had a really good influence on him. Because you can look at him, I mean, he had like an afro like this, these huge glasses, and he was this big.
That's hilarious.
I mean, and with his pants up here, and now, I mean, daddy can hold a suit. Like, I was looking at him like, wow, mom has been really good for you. Love can probably tell you, even when she first came, his progression has gotten steadily better. And I think that you make a really good point. Nobody is perfect in the beginning. And that's the hardest thing because, and I've told you this before, when I went, I was like, I'm great.
Right. I'm amazing.
I am that. And the minute that I moved in with this here man, I was like, I'm probably not that great.
Like, oh, why did he marry me? On second thought.
And you question it. You really want to know, like, who was on drugs, me or you?
Right.
Like, what's the deal? But I think the beautiful thing is that they are committed to growing with us.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest blessings I think that we've received in our marriages. Short-term marriages, long-term marriages, if you choose correctly,
Right.
it's not about perfection, it's about the right fit. And I think that took a minute for me to realize, like, you're not supposed to be perfect, you don't have everything figured out, but if he's willing to grow,
Right.
y'all good.
Yes.
Y'all are
Yes.
good.
Yes.
I like it. Okay,
Yes.
tell me number 2.
Number 2 actually kind of closely ties into number 1, which is be patient.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily just being patient with him, but being patient with yourself. Because you will realize that you're not all that you thought you were. And you'll need to be patient as you transition into how, like, you were single and now you're married. And that is a huge transition. It's not something that you just, some people, I don't know, some people just click into it and they're just these most amazing wives ever. But that is not my testimony. But it's not. It's really not. And the next thing I say will sound slightly degrading, but I don't mean it this way. So I have this theory that, like, because women operate with both sides of the brain simultaneously and men don't, they only operate with one side of the brain. I think there are just certain things that we're more aware of that they're not. So, like, it's easier for them to be patient because, like, they don't understand all this other stuff going on the other side of our brain.
That's true.
So I feel like we're more hyper aware of certain things. So, like, for example, with me and my husband get in a disagreement, like, I'll like think the world is over, like, oh my god, like, is he gonna like not like me anymore? And he's over there just chilling, and I'm over it. Yeah, like, he's just like, oh, she'll be all right, she'll get herself together. So it's just like, I think sometimes being the more intelligent species can be a blessing and a curse, because we're more aware of things, and so that's where, like, the women's intuition comes in. But we can also, like, overthink and, like, often. We can overthink and we can just, like, take things to the 10th degree when they don't need to leave the 2nd degree. So being patient with yourself as you learn how to, like, navigate, you know, disagreements and life changes, and, you know, when he does something that you may not agree with, or that you do something that he may not agree with, like, just being patient and learning each other, because you're both complex individuals, complex beings. You're both trying to figure this thing out, like, you're on the same team. So it's just about, like, just being patient and, like, just let the process be the process.
So, love, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
In the process of learning patience, what are some of the things you've done to increase that?
Honestly, like, using my authority and like telling myself, telling my brain, telling my circumstances to yield to Christ. And, like, you know, I have authority.
Yes.
And I'm not about to let the situation get the best of me. Right. So 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you. Like, if we were really truly able to understand the breadth of what that means, we wouldn't have any issues with anything. Right. But obviously we don't understand, so
that's why you had the word in your heart.
Exactly.
For a constant reminder.
Exactly. But honestly, no, like, taking that authority, you're not gonna always feel you're in authority. You're gonna feel like the devil's winning and that he has every right to win, because we're aware of our flesh, we're aware of the sins, we're aware of that, and that self-condemning nature takes over. But you have to trust God when he says, no, you are my child, I live in you, you live in me, the Holy Spirit dwells in you. Like, you have to believe that and stand on that and speak that. Speak to your situation. Often. Speak to your contrary husband sometimes when he acting a monkey. Like, you have, like, the Holy Spirit can do more work on your husband than you can.
Right.
So
we don't grow men.
No, we don't.
I don't think people realize that yet.
No. And when you get married, like, anything that annoyed you before is going to continue to annoy you at a higher degree.
Because y'all live together.
Right.
Y'all live together. And that's the thing. When you have not lived with someone, you have absolutely no idea. You can know them. And of course, you do know someone. But when you get married, that's the hope. Yeah. But when you actually live, there are things that you're like, wait, this is what you do,
right?
This is hi. Like, I think that that's important for people to realize. Like, it's not that the person is changing; it's that you're actually getting to know them,
right?
And so that's a part of why I wanted you to share like how your process is, because you're actually not only, like you said, being patient with them, but yourself, and you're learning them. And learning yourself, because you've never been faced with that.
Exactly.
There's a whole man living in your house, and you're like, because I mean, most days we like them,
most days,
and we get along, everything is good. But those things that you had no idea about, I think that's the ones that really test you, because you're like, how did you live like this? And by the way, I am not ever going to advocate for bashing husbands. That is not what I'm saying.
Oh, no.
At all. I'm saying that the reality of life is that as you're learning someone, there are going to be things that you're like, I didn't know this. I didn't realize this about you. How are we going to address this? And I think that also taking into consideration in the process of patience is there are some things that are not going to change.
Right. Yeah.
I have learned that and become okay with that. And now those aren't real things anymore.
Right.
Because it's not life ending. You know what I mean? Like before it was.
Right.
Now when you realize this is just a part of who they are and it is not detrimental to you.
Right.
You move forward and you're like, well, okay.
Because in that same breath, there are things about us that will not change.
You ready?
And there are things that are not detrimental to them that they will have to move forward with.
And when you begin to love your spouse as they are and who they've been created to be and who you believe they're called to be, I think then your focus changes.
Yes, because that's been my most recent prayer.
Okay.
It's like, because I'm very hard on myself, and I in turn am hard on other people, and so I've definitely gotten to the place where I realized that I was constantly asking him to change, constantly asking him to grow, constantly asking him to do something different than what he was doing. And I had to be real with myself. I'm like, he's never asked me to change. He's never asked me to... Yeah, like he's never done that. So why am I always harping on him to do or not do something? And I had to take a hard look at myself and be like, you know what? He loves me exactly as I am this moment. Why am I robbing him of that whenever he so freely gives it to me? And also, it helped me to realize the breadth of the relationship with God. Like, he's not asking us to change. He accepts us for who we are.
And loves us.
And it's like, my husband shows me the love of God more through that than anything else.
Isn't it nice?
That I'm asking him to do. So it's just like, girl, just sit down and receive this love from the Father.
All the love. All the love. Y'all can see why I call her love, right? Okay, tell me number 3.
Number 3 is also a recent journey. Don't go to bed angry. It will not be worth it. It honestly, like, I can say this after a good 3 nights in a row a couple weeks ago, like, going to bed mad. And it's just like, he's your best friend. He's the one you want to talk to anyway. And he's the one you need to talk to get over whatever it is you're angry about. So it's like, it's not worth it.
Ever.
And it's like, it feels so worth it in the moment. It just feels like, ooh.
You hold on to that. You grasp hold of that anger with both hands, like, we riding out because you tried my whole little life. But you're right, and you made such a good point. They're your best friend. They're the person you want to call about it anyway.
Exactly.
And you're like, wait a minute, I'm mad at you. I want to talk to you about yourself.
Right.
And that's what makes it hard, but I think that's also probably what makes it easier to realize we're really supposed to be with this person.
Right.
We probably shouldn't be mad because they're the ones we want to talk to.
Exactly.
I don't know.
And we're on the same team. People had told me that before I got married. People continue to tell me that while I'm married. And it's still like this, like, I don't know if it's like this primitive survival mechanism that we have that's like, I have to fight for myself. And in this whole feminist, like, woman power culture, which I'm so here for, but also, like, it has negative, like, side effects. Like, oh, well, you need to tell this man. No, like, no, we're on the same team. When he loses,
because I don't want him doing that to me.
Exactly.
Please don't, because that'll be something else.
And that's what's so good about marriage is it is a mirror, and it helps you see yourself, what you really are working with.
Yes.
But it also shows you, like, this person is here for me. Like, just like I, in a sense, gave up everything to be with this person, they gave up everything to be with me too.
Yes.
They gave up their single life. They gave up who they used to be to come and join with me. So I can't pretend like I've given up more by, you know, marrying him. He's given up just as much, if not more.
Right.
You know, to be married to me. And so, like, just seeing, like, the whole give and take, I like to say marriage is 100% all the time. You can't do 50-50. That's not a thing. Not if you want to be in the Happy Wives Club. Like,
right.
It's like, it's not a thing.
It's not.
But realizing that they give just as much as we give is what helps me to be patient. Yes. And to understand that things take time and that he's going to grow and be amazing just like I will.
I think one thing that Dad said to me in my premarital counseling with Rob, he said, if one of you wins, both of you lose. And that was like, that has stuck out to me always. And I always remember that every time we're going into something. And I'm like, because, you know, I like to have the last word. I like to make sure that we're all on the same page, that Petra's right. I like this thing. But that was one of the things that really, really stuck out to me, and I think has really helped Rob and I. And even when we were dating, we don't even call them disagreements or arguments. We have discussions because we want to make sure that we have this positive connotation around any coming together or exchange that we have. And I think that that has made it so much easier because we're able to say, in our entire time of being together, we've had one actual argument. Like one... I deserve that thing, y'all. Can I tell y'all? It was actually my fault, and I got in a lot of trouble. It was really, really bad. But I can say that in all confidence. It was horrible. And that was actually when we were dating, and I remember thinking, we're not doing this ever again. And we have been very, very intentional because everything is not perfect, and we have things where we're not in agreement. But because we phrase this, we're going to have a discussion about this, and we're going to resolve whatever our uncomfortability is, like those types of things. I think it puts us in a better place. Because, man, I like to be on top. But in marriage, just like you said, it's 100% of you all the time. All the time. And that's a hard thing. Because I thought I was giving 100% until you realize what you consider to be 100% is not necessarily what they receive.
Exactly.
As 100%. And taking their perspective instead of your own sometimes is so vital for the health of your marriage. It's weird.
Yeah, because even like I'm thinking of certain tiffs we've had, like there will be times where I'll feel like I know he was wrong, but there's still the opportunity to examine yourself and see how you could have contributed to the misunderstanding or how you could have taken it beyond where it needed to go in order to get to a resolve. Like, and that is frustrating because you do want to feel like you're right. You do want to feel like you were justified for having that attitude. You were justified for saying that little snide comment
or not speaking at all.
Or not speaking at all.
Because that is me. We're not talking.
We didn't come to an agreement about that, but I agreed for us. We're not talking.
Kiss me.
But it's just like, that is so humbling.
Yes.
And like, that's also been one of my prayers, like, Lord, humble me. Like, help me humble myself before you have to humble me.
Because we don't want that.
Right. And that's a way that he has, like, he's been showing me how to humble myself. It's like, you could be 100% right. And like you said, you're still 100% wrong because you still have a part to play. You're both two wholes coming together, but you're half of that union. So you still have 50% of the responsibility to make sure it works.
You. We do not control them.
Unfortunately.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing, because you think about it, you're like, this would be so much better if you would just live as I tell you to live, do as I tell you to do, follow as I tell you to follow. And that is just not how this works. And until we take responsibility for ourselves and we give them the space to grow into who they are, we're going to constantly hit this wall. Constantly. And it will honestly tear your marriage apart because you'll be fighting about things that don't even matter. And they'll be looking at you like, what's wrong with you?
Right. Literally.
Because she's right. Men, their perspective is a whole lot simpler than ours. Because I have a litany of things and a litany of reasons of why I feel a certain type of way, and Rob has one sentence.
Right.
And you're like,
like you got bullet points, you got a whole outline, and they talking about some abbreviated text. Like, how frustrating is that?
I've been sending the whole paragraph, y'all. I feel this way because of this, this, and this. And you did not acknowledge this, this, and this. And you did not resolve this. And he'd be like, okay.
Right. But I have learned that when they say okay, it's not them disregarding all the bullet points.
Not.
They literally have taken what you said and they've come to a resolve. They really are listening to you.
They are.
They really are taking in what you've said. It's just they have a different way of processing that, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. And honestly, in real life, if they did respond to us the way that we've responded, we'd probably be annoyed, like, you're arguing with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you arguing?
Right.
I said what I said. So, I mean, sometimes we think we want something, but our need is different.
Totally.
Our need is totally different from our want. And that is something to embrace in a healthy and happy marriage. That your wants are not necessarily your needs.
Exactly.
Okay. Tell me number 4.
This is my final one. Have and nurture an identity outside of your husband and what he does. And that is not something that I expected to encounter until we had children. But I think there is such a like idyllic air about being married and what it means and being a wife and all of that, and sometimes we can get caught up in being a good wife. And don't get me wrong, those are all things we should definitely like do. You should want to serve your husband, you should want to do all these things, but that can't be your only reason for living and breathing and waking up in the morning, because it will not be enough.
And you will annoy them.
You will annoy them.
You will annoy them.
You absolutely will annoy them. And whenever they're not there, or maybe they didn't respond to your text message or your phone call, you know, and now you're gonna feel empty. You're gonna feel like, oh, what is my reason for living? Like, and that is totally not where you need to be, because God still has a plan for you. He still has a calling for you. He still has a purpose for you to fulfill. And if you're so wrapped up in your husband all the time, now don't get me wrong, you are his helpmate, and you are there to make sure that you're there to make sure his purpose gets fulfilled in this life. So don't get me wrong. Don't listen to the wrong part of this.
Right.
But you are also responsible for fulfilling your call for your life and your life as a couple. And so, like, just having a hobby. Like, I recently started getting acupuncture.
And I was just asking how it was.
Yeah, like, I love it. And I've been able to learn so much about myself. That's not necessarily a hobby, but it's something
but self-care?
Yes. I'm invested in myself in that capacity. And so, just, like, having friendships outside of your husband. Having hobbies outside of your husband, having interests outside of your husband and his interests. Obviously, you're going to find joint interests that you're going to want to do together, but having your own life, I mean, that kind of sounds bad in a certain way, but it's important to have your own identity. And I think that when you don't, it's a good and bad thing, because it's good because the Lord will allow you to rebuild your identity in Him, Christ, building your identity in Christ.
Right.
But it can be bad for the reasons I've already stated, because you'll be lost without him, and that's never a good thing. So,
I absolutely, positively, 1,000% agree with that. And I think when we realize what our true position is, that becomes easier. You know what I mean? We're not meant to be carbon copies.
Right.
And we can't be helpful to them or a true support system to them if we don't have some type of acumen or information outside of them.
Exactly.
And then, you know, y'all, I was having this conversation with somebody, and I was like, a part of our position is to guard the gate.
Yes.
And whatever assails or attacks our husband, we hit it first. But if we are not well versed in what is going on around us or what they could potentially come into contact with, we are not on our jobs. And so if y'all want to be extra deep and talk about these helpmeets, you need to get on your job and get out of the house.
Exactly.
I mean, in real life. You know what I mean? Because there are so many things that come to attack the leadership, but people don't realize that in battle, the general or whoever, they're actually not on the front lines.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They think of the big picture strategy and how they're going to think of the game plan moving forward. But it is the sentinels, it is the ground guardsmen, those type of people who are in the front, and they guard for everybody else. It hits them first. But to do that, they have to have scouts.
Exactly.
They have to have people that are going out and doing all of these things. So as a part of our job, and not just even our own personal self-fulfillment, but our call as Christ has called us, you have to do more than be up under that man.
Right.
Because you can't protect him like that. And I think that that's a part of us really delving into who we are, who we're called to be, our personal ministries, and then also the ministry of our relationship. It's four-pronged. It is not just we chilling together every day. Every day. We can't do that. One, we're going to be boring. Because we'll have nothing to talk about.
Exactly.
And nothing to do. And we'll annoy the heck out of him. But I think also, because a part of us needs to fulfill that spiritual calling for us too, you have to do something else.
Yeah.
And I think that that is so important. I did just have that conversation, so that was funny.
Yeah.
But
no, I love the war zone type like analogy. Yeah. Because honestly, they are vision casting for your family. Like, they're the ones
that's what they're doing. Because they always be talking like that. And you looking at them like, so how are you finna do that? Have you thought about this? What steps were you thinking about? But you know the reason we know that is because we see more.
Yep.
And we're built to do that. We're created to do that. And so we help them walk through that process and say, hey, that's a great game plan. Let me tell you what I saw on the outskirts. Let me tell you what I heard, all of those types of things. And I think it's so beautiful to really realize our position and then play our position.
Yes.
Because marriage can be happy.
Yes, it really can.
It can be.
Like, legit. Not the fake stuff you see on Facebook. Girl, if you don't stay in this camera.
You see me, I say, hey girl, hey.
But I think we focus so much on like trying to present ourselves as happy that we don't actually do the things that make us happy.
So I said something about that too. And it was actually a picture with Sterling, and you'll probably remember this. It was a long time ago, and he was sitting under our TV table.
Yes, I remember that.
And I was saying, we focus so much on taking the perfect picture that we don't take the time to perfect the moment. I think we have to do that. I really, really do. We have to be intentional about making and creating a happy marriage. And I think your steps will help.
Yes.
So I'm super excited.
So. Yes.
I'm super excited. I mean, it's funny because you're almost to a year. That's weird.
Yes. 8 months on this Saturday.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, like this time it's flying.
That kind of caught me off guard. I was like, wait a minute. July? That's around the corner.
Yes, it's going to be here before we know it.
But that's exciting.
It is very exciting.
That's exciting. So before we go, the last thing I want us to do is if you will pray.
Of course.
I want you to pray with those of us in the book club, and just from your heart, whatever God downloads into you.
Absolutely.
Can we do that? My hands.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity to just join forces with our fellow happy wives and aspiring happy wives. Thank you so much for giving us a desire to be a wife and putting that seed in our husbands to be a good husband to us, Lord. Your word says that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So we are happy and honored to be that thing that brings favor on our husbands' lives, God. I ask that you would just touch every marriage, touch every heart, touch every mind that is part of these marriages, God. I ask that you would just strengthen them. I ask that you would just encourage them in hard times. I ask that you would just help them to believe and know and understand that a happy marriage is possible. And I pray that you would help them to understand that they have everything to do with that. They have everything to do with fostering a healthy, peaceful home, God. Help us to be peacemakers in our homes, God. Help us to not allow discord and disagreements and misunderstandings to reign in our households, God. Help us to use the authority that you died and rose for us to have to speak to those things, God. Help us to call out those things in our husbands that we see. Help us to encourage them. Help us to never break them down. Help us to never use our words and our actions to discourage them and to break them down, God, because we want them to be happy husbands too. We want them to be the happy husbands to us as happy wives, God. So I just thank you, Lord, for your Holy Spirit just touching each heart and revealing us to different ways that we can foster a happy marriage. I thank you, Lord, for Petra and her vision for happy marriages all over the place, God. I pray that you continue to build up her ministry and to encourage her to continue to move forward with what you have placed on the inside of her, God. She is going to do what you have told her to do, and she's going to do it with boldness, God. She's going to do it with joy. She's going to do it with peace. She's going to do it with long suffering, God. She is going to do it with the tools that you have equipped her from before she even entered this earth. You are going to equip her, continue to equip her, and continue to strengthen her to use what you've equipped her with to go forward with the vision that you have placed in her mind, God. We thank you for all of these things. We glorify you for the testimonies that will come from this club, and help us to be steadfast in reading this book and really applying it to our lives, and be prayerful about how we apply it to our lives. We thank you for all these things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for spending time with me.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you all so much for joining us. I know that it's crooked, so just turn your phones.
Yes.
This is all good for you. It is going to bless your hearts. Look forward to the next guest conversations coming up in a few weeks. And guys, remember to post your comments, to post your thoughts. We are in the first 2 weeks of this cycle. Okay. So look back in your reading plan to see where we are. And I look forward to talking to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.